Hello, welcome back. I'm Tonya from Tonya's Witchy Kitchen, and how are you doing today? We've been busy, like usual. Summer seems so busy, but then, it's all busy. When I post on Facebook, I'm not usually on Facebook scrolling through to see what everything is. And especially when I'm on my business page, I just kind of post something and go. But lately I've been looking at other things, and of course, you look at one thing and you have that same ad 10 times over. But I've been looking at some other soapers, like ads or their pores or what they're doing. I've noticed that a lot of them will put the pour on, but they don't put the cut. And me, it's all about the cut, like when you cut the soap. I mean, the pour is always kind of cool to see, but for me, it's always about the cut. I think that's the best part of any soaping soap bar, is just to see the cut of the soap. And a lot of them don't, so I don't know if you have to follow them to see what the cut is, but I'm not too busy for that. But one thing I've noticed is there's a lot of them that are like, our ingredients are top quality, and that's why you should buy our soap. Or, our soaps are really expensive, but they're the best. I'm not sure why. I didn't want to read too much into that one. They really didn't post what their ingredients were that made their soap so great, right? But then I've noticed there's some that are like, oh, our soaps are crude and, rough and all natural, and, that's what makes them best. Well, you know what? That's great. I mean, I like pretty soaps, so that's what I make. But I do make basic soaps and plain soaps, and you can have a pretty plain soap. But one thing I've noticed about these all natural soap makers, and theirs is the best, is one simple little ingredient that could actually make their soap toxic. I know, and you're like, what? No, it's not the sodium hydroxide or the potassium hydroxide. You need that to make soap. But one little thing that could make them toxic, and you wouldn't even know as a consumer because you wouldn't think about it either. So we are going to do a soap today. You have to soap it hot, and that's what we're doing. And we'll talk all about that in the video. So 3 things: be kind, be forgiving, be you. Let's go check out my unscented honey and oat bar, and I'll tell you what the toxic ingredient is. Okay, into our soap. This is the oat and honey unscented. Did you notice my thermometer there? My oils are 150 degrees, roughly. They're 149. That's the one kicker to the soap. Because of the 7% beeswax that is in this bar, I soap hot. That's all I can say. I soap hot because I don't want my oils to get too hard. And it does really easily. So of course there's kaolin clay, and then there is some very nice fine ground oats. Some people call it colloidal oatmeal. This is actually not. There's a total difference between finely ground and colloidal. It's a whole thing. And then honey, raw honey, which doesn't like to come off my spoon because it was cold. It happens when the AC is on. Yeah, so I'm just going to blend that up as best as I can. Hopefully the honey will, do its thing and dissolve properly. It usually does. And then my lye water is roughly 140, as you can see. So it is not cool at all. This is soaping hot, literally soaping hot. I call it soaping hot because it's hot. And yeah, it does pick it up fairly quick, but it is just a one simple pour soap. As you can see, my lye water is scorching my honey a little bit. Is that the right word? Yeah. And it's 140. It's still 140 degrees, 140 degrees. And I know, like, if this was a cold process soap and you were at 150 degrees, it'd be, usually they're pretty solid, as they're setting up and gelling and, all those things. Yeah. But the nice thing about this is like I said, it is only one pour. I don't do a lot of details or swirling with it or anything massive because it does, for me, my recipe set up quickly. If you want to know where I got this recipe or where I crafted my recipe from, because it's totally different, you can go to Brambleberry. It's on there. She has 2 recipes, one 7%, one 8% beeswax. You type it in the lie calculator, beeswax. As you see, it still wasn't totally set up to do my little designs, but I am putting the cute little bubble wrap on there to give it the honeycomb look. And yeah, I mean, this is just, not even a minute, and it's, setting up pretty nice to do my grid lines. And then we put on lavender buds. Yeah, there aren't a whole lot of botanicals that can make it through the saponification without looking ishy. I was kind of impressed with the lilacs. They did pretty good. I think calendula flowers, they say can. If I'm not sure, I usually just look it up, see what other people say. This does not get C-popped or gelled. It would blow up. It sits right on the counter there, uncovered, just like that. Okay, now I want to show you. Look at this beautiful bar. It did get hot. It bubbled over the bubble wrap, but not too hot. That's why I only bubble wrap half. That's the fun part, is taking the bubble wrap off. But look at this. It is a beautiful white, very solid, very, very solid bar because of the beeswax. Yeah. Very pretty. Very pretty. So while I cut this, are you ready to hear what could possibly, not always, could possibly be a toxic ingredient in what people call natural soaps? It's not essential oils, but some essential oils purchasers do add, you just don't know. Make sure you buy from a high quality source. Mica's, same thing. I'm going to say buy from a high quality source. It's clays. Clays are an all natural ingredient that a lot of people use to color their soaps. And they do, beautiful colors, right? But depending on where you get your clay, it can have high levels of arsenic or lead or other heavy metals that can be bad for you. Now, this isn't just soaps. This is also cosmetics. And it's not easy to find a certificate of analysis for all those clays that are out there. And some companies are very good about it. New Directions Aromatics and I shouldn't even say. So when you're buying it, look and see if they have a certificate of analysis. It will tell you the heavy metal content, lead, arsenic, and technically lead, arsenic, asbestos, those are natural ingredients, but not anything you really want in your soap or cosmetics. So, not saying that everybody, every clay out there is bad, but depending on where it's harvested, and there are tests to do. I might, after I am done doing a lot more research on this, I might just do a little blurb on how you can test at home your clays to see if they are leaking heavy metals. There are a few things you can do. And the sucky part is, if they don't have a certificate of analysis, you don't really want to purchase this, right? There are some very high quality clays out there. And, the problem with Amazon is you are going to have to email those companies yourself for that information. But it can be done. It's a little time consuming. But anyway, aren't these beautiful? They are absolutely beautiful. They are yummy because there is a little bit of that beeswax smell in there. These are the bars right after I cut them. And here are the bars when they are totally cured. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for dropping by, and I will see you next time. God bless.